I never thought I'd be the guy standing in my backyard, staring at a pile of concrete where my creek used to be, wondering how the hell my life turned into a daytime soap opera. But here I am, 38 years old, knee-deep in a feud with a homeowners association that makes the devil look like a choir boy. By the time this mess was over, their fancy McMansions were literally sinking into the swamp, and I was the one holding the popcorn. You want to hear how it went down? Buckle up, because this one's a wild ride. I'm Jake, just your average dude trying to live a quiet life in a small town in Florida. I bought this little piece of land about 5 years ago, right on the edge of a wetland. It wasn't much, just a cozy 2-bedroom house with a big backyard that sloped down to a creek. That creek was my pride and joy, man. Crystal clear, full of fish, with dragonflies zipping around like tiny helicopters. I'd sit out there with a beer, watching the sunset reflect off the water, feeling like I'd finally carved out my own slice of paradise. I'm a landscaper by trade, so I poured my heart into that land, native plants, a little dock, even a bench I'd built myself. It was my sanctuary, you know? The neighborhood wasn't exactly high-end, but it was chill. Most folks were like me, working class, minding their own business. Then, about 2 years ago, a developer swooped in and built this gated community called Willow Pines right next door. Big houses, white picket fences, the whole 9 yards. Suddenly, my quiet little corner of the world had a new neighbor, the Willow Pines HOA, and let me tell you, they were about as welcome as a skunk at a picnic. Enter Karen. Oh, you know the type. She rolled up to my front door one sunny afternoon, clipboard in hand, wearing a pastel blazer that screamed, "I need to speak to your manager." Her name was actually Karen, swear to God, and she was the HOA president. Picture a woman in her late 40s, blonde bob so sharp it could cut glass, and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She introduced herself like she was royalty, saying, "We're so excited to elevate the community aesthetic." I'm standing there in my muddy work boots, thinking, "Lady, I just want to mow my lawn and drink my coffee in peace." Karen didn't waste time. She handed me a packet thicker than a phone book: HOA rules, regulations, and a not-so-subtle suggestion that my rustic property was bringing down their property values. She pointed at my wildflower garden, my hand-painted mailbox, even my damn creek, and said they didn't fit the vision. I laughed it off at first. I mean, my land wasn't even part of their HOA. Me deed predated their whole subdivision. But Karen wasn't the type to take no for an answer. She kept coming back, leaving notes about my unkempt yard, my eyesore dock, and how my creek was a breeding ground for mosquitoes. I'd crumple those notes and toss them in the trash, but I could feel the pressure building, like a storm rolling in. Things got real when I came home one day to find surveyors on my property. No warning, no permission, just a couple of guys in vests poking around my creek with measuring tapes. I marched over, pissed as hell, and they told me the HOA hired them to assess drainage issues. Drainage issues? My creek had been there for decades, flowing fine, keeping the whole area stable. I told them to get the hell off my land, but not before overhearing one of them mention rechanneling and filling. That night, I couldn't sleep. Something told me Karen was up to no good. Sure enough, a week later, I got a letter from the county. The HOA had filed a complaint, claiming my creek was causing flooding risks to their precious willow pines. They wanted to fill it with concrete to improve drainage. I was livid. That creek wasn't just some ditch, it was part of the ecosystem, connected to the wetlands that kept this whole area from turning into a swampy mess. I called the county, explained it was my property, and they seemed to back off. But Karen? She was like a dog with a bone. The escalation came fast and ugly. One morning, I woke up to the sound of heavy machinery. I ran outside, and there it was, a crew dumping truckloads of concrete into my creek. My heart sank. That water, those fish, the dragon fleece, it was all gone, buried under gray sludge. I screamed at the workers, but they just pointed to their permits, signed by the county, and yep, Karen's signature was all over them. She'd gone behind my back, pulled strings with somebody at the county office, and got the green light to destroy my creek. I stood there, watching them pour, feeling like someone had ripped a piece of my soul out. I tried fighting it legally, hired a lawyer, drained my savings, but the county was in the HOA's pocket. They claimed it was for the public good. Karen even had the nerve to show up at my house again, all smug, saying, "Jake, this is progress. You'll thank us when your property value goes up." I wanted to strangle her, but I just slammed the door in her face. For weeks, I was a wreck, angry, helpless, staring at that concrete scar where my creek used to be. My sanctuary was gone, and I felt like I'd lost a part of myself. Then came the twist. One night, I'm at the local bar, drowning my sorrows, when this old guy named Earl slides onto the stool next to me. Earl's a retired environmental engineer, been in the area forever, and he's got this grizzled look like he's seen some shit. He'd heard about my creek and leaned in close, voice low. "Jake," he said, "you know why that creek was there? It wasn't just pretty, it was holding back the swamp." He pulled out a napkin and sketched a map of the local water table, showing how my creek was a natural drain for the wetlands. Filling it didn't fix drainage, it blocked it. The water had nowhere to go now, and it was going to back up right under willow pines. Earl's words lit a fire in me. I started digging. Spent hours at the library, pulling up old surveys, wetland maps, anything I could find. Turns out, Willow Pines was built on land that was barely above the water table. My creek had been keeping their fancy houses from turning into swamp castles. I reached out to a buddy from my landscaping days, Mike, who worked for the state's environmental agency. He confirmed it. The HOA's concrete stunt was a disaster waiting to happen. The water was already pooling under their subdivision, and it was only a matter of time before their foundation started cracking. I decided it was time to fight back. I didn't go loud, I went smart. I filed a formal complaint with the state, citing environmental violations. I got Earl to write a letter as an expert witness, detailing how the HOA's actions were destabilizing the entire area. I even started a blog, posting pictures of the concrete mess and explaining the science behind why it was a bad idea. People in town started talking. Some of the Willow Pines residents, the ones who weren't drinking Karen's KoolAid, reached out to me, worried about their homes. I kept it cool, played the concerned neighbor, but inside, I was ready to watch karma do its thing. Karen wasn't done, though. She got wind of my complaints and came at me hard. One day, I found a notice taped to my door, a lawsuit from the HOA claiming I was responsible for undermining community safety by spreading false information. She'd twisted the narrative, saying my creek was a hazard and my blog was defamation. She even organized a town hall meeting, parading experts, aka her cousin's friend with a fake degree, to back her up. The audacity of this woman, she was trying to pin the whole mess on me, like I was the one who poured concrete in my own damn creek. I showed up to that meeting, armed with Earl's maps, Mike's data, and every document I'd collected. I let Karen have her moment, let her rant about property values and community standards. Then I stood up, calm as you please, and laid it all out. I showed the crowd how the creek was essential, how the concrete was causing water to pool under their homes, how their foundations were already showing cracks. I didn't yell, didn't curse, just let the facts do the talking. You could feel the room shift. People started whispering, looking at Karen like she'd just been caught stealing cookies from the church bake sale. The final blow came a month later. A big rain hit, the kind Florida's famous for sheets of water for days. Without my creek to drain it, the water had nowhere to go. Willow Pines turned into a muddy soup. Driveways cracked, lawns turned to mush, and a few of those shiny McMansions started sinking, literally tilting into the ground. One family had to evacuate when their basement flooded. Karen tried to spin it, blaming unprecedented weather, but nobody was buying it. The state stepped in, ordered the HOA to pay for an environmental cleanup, and slapped them with fines they couldn't afford. Karen's reign was over. Last I heard, she'd moved out of state, chased out by angry neighbors and a mountain of legal bills. I won't lie, it felt good watching it all go down. My creek's still gone, and that hurts, but I'm working with Mike and some local environmental groups to restore it. We're digging out the concrete, replanting natives, and maybe, just maybe, I'll get my sanctuary back. For now, I sit on my bench, sip my beer, and watch the sunset over a muddy ditch that's slowly coming back to life. It's not perfect, but it's mine. So what do you think was the real villain here? Was I wrong to fight back? Or was Karen just begging for karma to slap her down? Drop your thoughts below, and if you like this wild ride, hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel. Thanks for listening. While I'd love to hear your stories, too.